Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your webinar entitled Reduce Workload, Enhance Learning with Edcover. And I'm your host, Anthony McBride from Edcover, for about the next 25 minutes, and I'll do my best to keep my word on that. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin. You'll notice that you're muted at the moment, but we do very much welcome your questions throughout the webinar and any queries that you might have. So you can get these to us via the chat function at the bottom right of your screen. For my part, I do plan to be as succinct as possible today. I'm aware you've probably had a really tough day in school. The end is in sight, guys. I'm getting in the Christmas mood. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel it now. So we'll keep to 25 minutes. I will. During the course of the webinar, give you a quick tour of the Edcover platform. But if you want to see that again in the future on a one-to-one basis, that's not a problem whatsoever. Most of what I want to cover this afternoon is pretty straightforward. I'm fairly confident it will be based on experiences that most or all of us will have in common. Before we get into any of that detail, though, I'd just love to give you a quick bit of background as to who we are, because you may well not know us or heard of us before. Our organisation has a very proud history of creating some really groundbreaking pieces of software for schools. So to mention one, the Askell Data Toolkit, that was a collaboration between ourselves and Askell. And that was a huge help to secondary schools during the pandemic as they processed their CAGs and tags. We've done lots of other things as well, and Edcover is our latest offering. So the directors at Edcover all have experience in secondary school leadership themselves, and they were all too familiar with the negative connotation, the negative association, if you like, between cover lessons and learning. And for me, there's lots of evidence, anecdotal and otherwise, to support what for me is a pretty logical hypothesis, that on the left-hand side of your screen. More often than not, when the regular class teacher is not present, then learning and progress suffer, by and large. I know it's not always the case, but I think by and large, most school leaders would concede that that is the case. Now, for me, there are a number of reasons that contribute to this negative trend, and we can see some of them on the right-hand side of your screen. And I would like to say that none of these can be seen in isolation. So behaviour, for example, the top one. When we talk to schools, again, they'll often tell us that, yes, there is a tendency for behaviour to dip in cover lessons. And for me, that's inextricably linked with the second point, the quality of work set. All too often we find that the actual quality of the work that's been left in a classroom for those children when the regular class teacher's not there is not what it should be. And we know as educators, our children, they'll behave well if they're in a lesson worth behaving for. Subject knowledge, I put that there, and then I'm thinking, actually, it doesn't have to be a biggie. Personally, if I was covering a lesson outside my subject specialism, I used to kind of enjoy it, providing, and it is a huge caveat, providing that the quality of work set was good, was appropriate, was going to lead to a worthwhile learning experience, and we could learn together. Consistency, I put that there because our children, if they get a cover lesson and they think, right, okay, they're expecting a worthwhile learning experience, then they will enter that classroom, that session, that lesson with the right mindset. And the last point I've got there, a part of the problem, is succession. And what I'm talking about here is the communication, or lack of it, should I say, between the coverings teacher and the absent teacher. And if we're honest, it rarely happens. And if it does, it's usually about something really negative, something quite big that might have happened in the lesson. But it definitely feeds into the other reasons as well. So I think, on reflection, that communication between covering staff member and absent teacher is actually really, really important. important that they know where to pick up the class. Were there any misconceptions? Is there anything I need to celebrate with the class upon my return? So we found ourselves with this challenge, how to create something that dealt with all these negative trends and negative connotations around cover lessons. And the result, I think, and our schools tell us, is a really modern one-stop solution that optimizes learning. It promotes dialogue. It makes life a hell of a lot easier in terms of workload burden for teachers. We're told all the time it reduces stress for cover managers as well. If there's one thing I've learned during this project, my involvement with this project, is that the role of cover manager can be very stressful. For leadership teams, it gives them a really, really clear picture as to the efficacy of cover lessons in their school. So what is it you want to find out about what's happening in your cover lessons? We can give you some very, very quick and intuitive data around that. And that's wonderful evidence to be able to say to governors, to inspectors, to ourselves, we take what happens in a cover lesson seriously, and here's the evidence. So it's really important, I believe, passionately, that we do whatever we can to get this right. And particularly if you consider, typically, about 5% of a secondary school pupil's education will be delivered via what we commonly refer to as cover. So it's important we do whatever we can to make those cover lessons as worthwhile as possible, as meaningful as they can be. And I'm delighted to tell you that our customer schools, the schools we support, are telling us we are getting it right. I've just picked a couple out here. And Lisbury High School, on the left-hand school there, I can remember when they trialed, so they took advantage of a free trial of Edcover, and they trialed it with 3 departments, and very quickly the feedback from those 3 departments was really, really positive. It gave them the confidence to roll it out with the whole school, with all staff. And within about 3 weeks, they were able to give us this. They found a notable improvement in the quality of work set in cover lessons. And that was tangible. They could see it. And of course, that had all kinds of positive knock-ons. Similarly, at the Shore College, they were absolutely struck with the ease with which they were able to implement Edcover and move away from what they now recognize as very outdated methods. So the platform is incredibly intuitive, and teachers get hold of it in 2 or 3 minutes. So that brings us on to the platform and this quick whistle-stop tour of the Edcover platform. If you like anything that you see here, again, be more than happy to show you the platform in more detail. But by virtue of your attendance today, would love to offer you a free trial of the Edcover platform in your school so you can see what the benefits are for yourself. So I'm just going to change my view, or your view. This is just the Edcover website, by the way, guys, just to signpost you to this. You can find a little of the rationale behind what we do there. But what I want to do for a minute or two is just envisage that you've got Edcover in your school, and we're going to log in and show you what it does. Okay. So it's really important that I point out that our platform, it syncs with your MIS. So no doubt you'll have an MIS. Typically, it might be Bromcom or Sims or Arbor, ISAMS, the list goes on. We sync with them all. So what that means is all your teacher timetables, class lists, all that stuff is synced. And you don't have to worry about that updating. So I'm going to log in, first of all, just as a teacher. And you'll see that this screen is very sparse. There's not a lot I can do. There's only 2 things really that a basic user can do. And that's set my cover work, if I'm going to be off, or search for it if I happen to be covering a colleague who's absent. So the first thing I want to do is very quickly show you how to set cover work with Edcover. Of course, this syncs with your MIS, so would all be here. I'd be top of the list, but it might well be the case that, I don't know, let's say Brenda here, for example. Brenda is in my department. She's simply too poorly to set her own cover work, so I'm going to do it for So if I click on today, Brenda, it brings up her 5 lessons for today. So straight away, we are removing that possibility of human error, a lesson getting missed. Now, of course, if Brenda were doing this herself, let's say Brenda says, okay, well, actually, next week I'm on a residential from there to there. Well, it will go away and pick out all the lessons that she's got to set cover work for. So let's leave it on today. Go to the next screen. And again, you will see it's very intuitive. 5 lessons there, nice and clear. Red tab in the top right-hand corner telling me there's no work set. So that's no good. We need to rectify this. We need to set cover work for each of these. Now, there's a very quick way of doing this that's proving incredibly popular with teachers up and down the country. If I take the first lesson, for example, and click Add Cover Work, the first screen we get is this, and you've got a pro forma there that you can use if you want to. You don't have to. You could just have a blank screen like we have here. Or often schools will ask us to upload a branded lesson plan that teachers use each time. So if Brenda were doing this herself, of course, she's probably got a pre-prepared lesson that she can just drop in here. She can make it look nice with these buttons across the top. She can drop her seating plan in there, any supporting worksheets, etc. But I'm doing this for Brenda, don't forget. And I'm probably pushed for time in that instance. So I'm going to use this button in the top right, AI Assistant. And again, whether you're setting your own cover lessons or doing it on the behalf of somebody else, it's a fantastic time-saving tool. Now, I think she's a science teacher, Brenda, but I know nothing about science. My background's RE. I'm an RE teacher by trade, so I'm just going to ask it to do something RE-based. But you can play with this yourself if you avail of that free trial. So I'm just going to ask it something very generic, not much at all, not much command. Create a year. It's a year 9, isn't it? Year 9. Create a year 9 lesson. Could be anything, but I'll say Passover. Now, I'm always blown away by the speed by which it will create my lesson, and B, the quality of what it creates for me. So the beauty of this, of course, it runs on AI, the latest version of AI, but our developers have done all the prompts for your teachers. So you don't have to worry about anything inappropriate or any misinformation. And every time we get a great cover lesson here, down the left, right-hand side, it always gives us 3 lovely suggestions from YouTube that we could use to enrich the lesson. I'll just use one of them, but I'll copy all of that, stick it across here, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done with my cover lesson. Like I say, the chances are I wouldn't use all of these. I'll get rid of that one. I recognize 2 of them actually as being fantastic YouTube videos. But anyway, so in a few seconds, I've created a fantastic cover lesson that can be delivered by a non-specialist. That's one of the prompts that we put in as well. So if we go back to that previous screen, we'll see that I've set my cover work for that lesson now. A few seconds, a huge, huge time saver. If you're not going to be in school, or you've got a meeting, or you're off on a residential, anything like that, or indeed you've got to set work on somebody else's behalf. Okay, so that's it. Worth noting as well that every time we create a cover lesson on the platform, that is banked for you in as a resource, okay, that the admin person can access. So we'd go on then and obviously create cover for the 4 outstanding lessons. So the flip side of this is, of course, I could be covering the lesson. I might be covering Brenda. So I'd log in again. I could find Brenda by scrolling down or just click on her here. And you've told me that I'm covering Brenda Peters, period 1. I click on that lesson and here it is. Okay. And of course, because it syncs with MIS, I've got my children here. If I'm a permanent member of staff, I can see who's EAL and PP, etc., SEN. So if I'm not a permanent member of staff, I just get the children's names. And very often, actually, when it is external supply, schools like to download the PDF and print it as well. But anyway, that's an option. So I deliver the lesson. Of course, it goes absolutely fantastically well because the content's great. So there's no attachment. There's no discipline issues, etc., etc. And somewhere towards the end of the lesson, I fill in these questions that we're asking the covering teacher to complete. Okay, and you as an SLT, you decide what these are. You can ask up to 4, but we've just given you 2 examples here. So how well was the work completed, and what was ATL like? And is there anything you want to say to Brenda? There might not be, but it might be great lesson. You may want to revisit something with a particular pupil, etc. So when I'm happy with that, I submit it, Brenda gets the email, and you as SLT or whoever's admin gets this wonderful data that we can look at now. So I'll just go back to this view, the teacher view, and I'll flip from teacher view to admin view. And everything stays the same. So we can do everything we've just done. We can set cover work and search for it. But now we can do some extra things across the top that I'll cover in a minute. But if we just take, for example, the feedback, whatever questions you're asking as an SLT, that will be collated for you, automatically collated for you. So you can report to governors, you can report to inspectors, etc., etc. Look, this is what's happening in our cover lessons. We take it really seriously, and we're on the right road. Here's the evidence. Okay. You can also keep track here on things like, obviously we'll all be trying to cut down on the proportion of external supply that we use. So when we're having conversations around budgets and planning and stuff like that, we can just access this data on the proportion of external supply teachers used as well. Okay. From here, we can also see individuals. So we were looking at Brenda earlier on, and if I want to look at, let's say, all the times last year Brenda was off and she left cover work, what was the quality of it? And, how often did she actually set cover work? Was an occasion there where she didn't set any work. So we've got those insights as well. And we can manage our users from here. So if Brenda's off, let's say she's off with stress for a few months, well, we don't want to get in any communications from Edcover whatsoever. So we've switched off notifications for her. She's not going to hear anything. Whoever sets her cover work will get that feedback. And also here we can do things like create guest accounts for an external supply teacher and so on and so forth. This view here, manage cover, this is where a cover manager every day has a wonderful insight into all the cover lessons down the left-hand side. Okay, so if it's not green, something needs doing. There's no work set. Okay, it's not been assigned to anybody. If it's assigned and there's work set, we get that lovely green completed button. And once they're all green and say completed, we know we are set for the day. And as I said earlier on, whoever's got this admin view, they can search through that bank of past cover lessons that grows and becomes richer and richer over time. And we've also got all our help and supporting materials here. Just as with every project that we support schools with, we're always very, very supportive and always on the end of the phone. But this is so quick and easy to implement. Basically, once teachers have watched that 2-minute video and logged in, they know what to do. If you're SLT or if you've got admin, you probably want to watch the 1.5-minute video as well on the analytics, and there's a 1.5-minute video for the AI assistant too. But all the PDF guides are there, and as I say, we're always happy to zoom in and take staff through the platform at their request. So that really was a very whistle-stop tour of the platform. If we go back here and I'll actually log out from that, and I'll go back to my PowerPoint. I'm doing my best to stay to time, and I think I'm doing pretty well. So I suppose all I want to do at this point is reiterate that, well, first of all, thank you for your time this afternoon, but reiterate that offer of a month's free trial of Edcover if you liked anything that you saw there. And please rest assured, if you do take advantage of that offer, it will be no work for you. We know you haven't got time to be setting things up, etc. So our tech team, they just email your head of IT services, create the sync, and then you're live and you can have a play with it and ask a department or two to get involved in a trial should you wish. So you can let us know if you want to do that. Well, there's a few methods you can use. You can contact us with the information on screen, or very simply via the chat in this meeting. You could just message us there and say, yes, we'd like to take advantage of that free trial. What do I do next? And we'll set it up for you. So all that remains for me to do is to thank you very much once again for your time, and hope that we speak to you again soon, and that you can see the benefits of Edcover in your own school. Thank you very much and take care.